So we need to talk about this Jon Jones situation. Can you believe it? Since his win over Stipe Miocic, there's been almost nothing solid about when he'll fight Tom Aspinall. Sure, Dana White mentioned targeting a title unification fight this summer, but I'm starting to have my doubts. According to Ariel Helwani, and this is pretty frustrating, a summer fight is becoming really unlikely. Why? Because Jones wants a 6-month training camp once the fight is locked in, Helwani said on his show. The clock is ticking on that one. I was told that Jon wants 6 months to prepare once the fight is locked in. And what's 6 months from now? September. Now I'm sure money talks, but it feels like if the summer is the goal, it's starting to slip away a little bit. The reactions from fans have been all over the place. Some people get where Jones is coming from. This could be the biggest fight of his career, so maybe he needs extra time to prepare for someone like Tom. But others, they're furious. If he needs 6 months to prepare, the summer window is closed. Why is he not already in training? Who else would he even have to prepare for besides Tom? I hope the UFC pays Tom for his patience. Some fans are even more upset, saying Jones is holding up the entire division and wasting a year of Tom's prime. One fan said, barring injury, the interim champ and champ have got to duke it out within 6 months. Dude is holding back the division. Another fan didn't hold back. Casual MMA fans are leaving this sport in droves, and now the supposed pound-for-pound best fighter wants a 6-month training camp after fighting 2 times in 5 years. This year just keeps getting worse and worse. Some fans are so frustrated they don't think the fight will ever happen. Take 6 months, fake an injury, reschedule, retire citing health difficulties and previous injuries taking their toll, pretend that you wanted to fight all along to save face. Jon will never fight Tom. One comment really hit home about the state of the UFC. The UFC is dead and no one can convince me otherwise. No one wants to fight each other. They complain about pay, then hug their opponents for 25 minutes, say they dominated, and demand a fight of the night bonus. The pay-per-views go until 3 a.m. when they could end around midnight. All around awful show. If this fight doesn't happen during International Fight Week, I'm really wondering who's going to headline that event instead. This drama is getting personal. Leading up to UFC 313's Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev fight, Ariel Helwani predicted Pereira would leave Vegas with the belt. He even said he wouldn't be surprised if Pereira got the finish. Well, after Ankalaev's win, the new champion clearly hasn't forgotten those comments. On Tuesday, he took to social media actually calling for Alex Pereira to get a rematch. Alex, when you're ready to go again, you deserve this. When Helwani reposted Ankalaev's call out with a clapping emoji, things got heated. Ankalaev wrote, "I don't like this fake big nose guy. I'm going to block him." A lot of fans think it might actually be Ali Abdelaziz posting from Magomed Ankalaev's account. Helwani seems to think so too, responding, "Hi Ali, miss you too." This isn't surprising since Ali Abdelaziz used that same big nose insult about Helwani back in 2024 when responding to Bilal Muhammad criticizing Helwani. Ali called him a big-nosed coward before saying he had blocked the MMA Insider. Way back in 2015, Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway fought in Canada. It should have been an epic clash, but it ended quickly when Oliveira fell to the canvas, clutching his throat in the first round. Now, years later, Oliveira wants to run it back, but with the BMF belt on the line. During an interview with Oddspedia, Du Bronx said that if he isn't going to fight for the lightweight title, he wants to fight Max Holloway for the BMF belt. When we speak about legacy, we speak about being the champion, but BMF is about being the toughest guy, and that's what I consider myself to be in this division. I believe I've shown that, and having the BMF belt is the only thing that's missing. So far, no word from the UFC or Max Holloway on this. But after being finished by Ilia Topuria and announcing his move up to 155, Holloway did say he's targeting a return during International Fight Week. This weekend, Sean Brady has the biggest fight of his career. After UFC pulled Jack Della Maddalena from the headlining fight against Leon Edwards, Brady stepped in with a chance to get his third victory in a row against the former champion. Brady spoke with MMA Junkie's Mike Bone about the bout and Edwards' recent comments about being comfortable fighting a grappler like him. That's where guys get surprised. Like, they see me, they're like, oh, he looks strong, this and that, but until you feel me and you feel my grip and my squeeze and my pressure that I put on you, it's going to be different. He talks about how he's always fighting grapplers, but he doesn't do great against them. While Edwards has never been submitted in his career, Brady is confident. I always say, if you have a neck, I can choke you out. So Leon's got a neck. I can choke him out for sure. Can Brady become the first man to submit Leon Edwards? We'll find out soon. Before this weekend's Edwards vs. Brady card at the O2 Arena in London, here are some UFC updates you might have missed. For UFC Vegas 105 on April 5th, Ariane Carnelossi is out of her fight with Loma Lookboonmee and has been replaced by Estela Nunes. Nunes is returning after a year-and-a-half hiatus while in the middle of a 4-fight losing streak. She's still looking for her first UFC win since joining in 2021. At the UFC Des Moines card in May, Dantale Mayes is set to fight Thomas Peterson in a heavyweight bout. Mayes wants to snap a 2-fight losing streak, while Peterson is looking to bounce back from a loss to Shamil Gaziev last month. A few weeks after that, Paul Craig returns to action at UFC 205 against Caio Borralho. Craig has lost 3 in a row at middleweight. Meanwhile, Borralho is coming off a rare split draw against Jared Cannonier in February, following his win over Abus Magomedov in his debut back in 2023. Finally, the UFC has moved a fight between Ismail Nardiev and Junyong Park from the May 17th card in Qatar to the June 21st card. When the UFC hits Des Moines, Iowa on May 3rd, Bo Nickal will face former champ Rainier de Ridder. Nickal wants to get back into the top 15, while de Ridder is looking for his 3rd straight win since joining the promotion. De Ridder told MMA Junkie he actually hopes Nickal uses his grappling so he can get his 3rd submission win in a row. I think my wrestling is pretty decent as well, and I really want to make him wrestle this time. Last fight, he was just sticking and moving, throwing that wild overhand of his and trying to make sure he didn't wrestle at all. But let's make it a wrestling match this time and see if we can get him to shoot a couple of times. Let's see if I can get his neck. Some fans were surprised by this matchup since Dana White said they'd move Nickal up the rankings slowly after his win over Paul Craig. But Nickal revealed he actually asked for this fight. Part of the reason might be the rivalry between American Top Team and what was the Black Zillions, now Kill Cliff. The two teams have been rivals for years since they're just 10 minutes apart in Florida. Years back, UFC fueled the fire during TUF Season 21 when the teams competed against each other. De Ridder said about the situation, "Anybody who heard about the matchup tells me, get that fool. So I don't know if it has to do with the gym or it has to do with him personally. Even if the Black Zillions are no more, there's definitely some extra fire heading into this one." This weekend, Jan Blachowicz returns to action for the first time since summer 2023 when he faces Carlos Ulberg. After double shoulder surgeries, Blachowicz wants to get back in the win column and make his case for a shot at the new champion, Magomed Ankalaev. Blachowicz got emotional talking about his recovery on SiriusXM's Fight Nation. "It was very hard after the surgery because, like you say, I'm 42 years old and my body don't recover like when I was 30, you know? So getting back to healthy was very hard, very tough. Like 3 months after surgery of the left shoulder, I feel worse than before surgery. And I say, what the F is going on? You know, is something bad? Maybe they effed up something in my shoulder?" I asked my physiotherapy guys and they said, "No, don't worry. You need more time. Just wait. That was a very tough time, but finally I wake up one day and I start moving my shoulders and I feel it. Okay, it's a little bit better. Now it's much better." Blachowicz also mentioned his desire to run things back with Magomed Ankalaev, who he fought to a split draw in 2022. "I've got unfinished business with Ankalaev, but of course I've got a job to do this Saturday, and I focus about this. But I believe I'm going to be a winner this Saturday, so maybe after that, I believe we have to finish what we started with Ankalaev." After the news of Dana White creating a boxing league, everyone was wondering about the payout structure. Today, it was revealed by Lance Pugmire, a trusted journalist, based on documents and contracts presented to fighters. $20,000 for a 10-round bout by an unranked fighter. $50,000 when ranked by the company at number 5 to 10. $125,000 when ranked by the company at number 3-4. $375,000 when challenging for company championship. $750,000 when defending company championship. They're also guaranteeing boxers that Dana White and TKO will give them 4 opportunities to fight a year, similar to the UFC. Do you think this pay structure will work in boxing? During UFC 313, some fans couldn't purchase and watch the pay-per-view, sparking reports that ESPN and the UFC were having issues with their negotiations. Earlier this week, Eric Reese from the New York Post Sports reported that UFC pay-per-view buys were at an all-time low, and fighters weren't even being incentivized with pay-per-view points anymore because the money from them is so low. New reports suggest UFC pay-per-view sales have been declining at an alarming rate, much faster than previously expected. There could be some truth to this because the UFC is now doing whatever they can to earn money. They're adding stake ads to their official free fight series on YouTube. Before, they only had limited sponsorships on the UFC embedded series during Fight Week. Fans had plenty to say about the pay-per-view situation. Stake logos on official UFC videos now, LOL. Pay-per-views must be in the gutter because everyone is just watching from free links now instead of paying $80. UFC is missing big stars and oversaturated the market with mediocre fights. They're too expensive on top of requiring an ESPN Plus subscription. In my opinion, they would be better making the fights more viewable to more people and more often. Make a cheaper sub such as $120 per year to view all fights. Other sports such as NFL would have never gotten as large as they are if all of the games were on pay-per-view. Economy is tanking, UFC charging $80 per pay-per-view. No one's going to buy a pay-per-view with 1 or 2 big fights over groceries. Too many Apex events has led to a decline in engagement. Matchmaking has been questionable. Russian link stream quality always works better than pay-per-view. $80 pay-per-view, decreased price and increased demand. UFC's pay-per-view decline ties to a star power drought. No new McGregor or Rousey. Champs like Pereira and Makhachev shine in the cage but lack mainstream pull. UFC's marketing isn't building the next big draw. UFC is more popular than ever. Pay-per-view sales are down because of piracy. UFC needs to ditch the legacy pay-per-view model and become a paid streaming service with main cards included in the subscription. I'd pay $14.99 a month, no problem. If pay-per-views were $39.99, piracy wouldn't be an issue. The real problem? Corporate greed. Once a grassroots org pushing boundaries, now just another publicly traded company prioritizing investors over fans, mass production over quality. The soul of the sport is the cost. Remember when every UFC event felt special? When you'd gather your friends, split the cost of the pay-per-view, and make a whole night of it? That excitement has faded for a lot of fans, and it's not just because of the price tag. The UFC needs to reconnect with what made them great in the first place, putting on amazing fights that people are willing to pay for, build new stars, create compelling storylines, and make each event feel like a can't-miss spectacle. Otherwise, this downward trend in pay-per-view buys might not just be a temporary problem, it could signal a much bigger issue with the direction of the sport. What do you think? Would you pay for a monthly UFC subscription if it included pay-per-views? Or has your interest in the sport changed over the years? Let me know in the comments below.